Question number 6. In line 15, hurdled coats refers to what? This is a question where vocabulary is very important. Hurdle can mean an obstacle, and it can also be used as a verb to mean to enclose or fence off something with hurdles or obstacles. A coat is a shelter for animals, so knowing those two things, let's look at the choices. A. Natural obstacles. We do have obstacles here, but they're not natural. We have a shepherd pinning their sheep in the hurdled coats. So these are something that can be pinned or closed and fastened by the shepherds, so they're not natural, and we can eliminate A. B. Fenced enclosures. If you know that one of the definitions of hurdle is to fence off or enclose something and that coat is a shelter, you'll know that this is the correct answer. Shepherds pin their flocks in hurdled coats or fenced enclosures. That makes perfect sense, and B is correct. C. Blocked paths. No, the shepherds don't pin their sheep in blocked paths. This is incorrect and it's insupportable. D. Steep heels. This doesn't make sense at all. E. Wool garments. This might throw you off only if you're mistaking the word coat, C-O-T-E, with coat, C-O-A-T. And so the answer is B. Fenced enclosures. Question number 7. In line 18, the rich burger is analogous to what? Analogous means compared to, so we're looking for the analogy or the comparison that Milton is making. If we read the lines in question, we see, or as a thief bent to unhoard the cash of some rich burgher, whose substantial doors, cross-barred and bolted fast, fear no assault, in at the window climbs or o'er the tiles, so clomb this first grand thief into God's fold, and so since into his church lewd hirelings climb. We have Satan as a thief wanting to unhoard or steal the cash of the rich burgher or a wealthy man. As the thief climbs into the window to steal the cash of the rich burgher, and then we see the comparison that Milton is making down in line 21. So, or in the same way, this thief, Satan, climbs into God's fold. So if Satan is a thief, then the rich burgher is God. And the correct answer is B, God. Taking a quick look at the rest of the answers. A hireling. Hirelings are mentioned in the last line, but the hirelings are climbing into the church just as the thief climbs into the window. So the hirelings are analogous to Satan, and we've already established that Satan is the thief, so he can't be the burgher. C, Satan. Again, Satan is the thief, not the burgher. D, traveler. There is no traveler mentioned other than Satan, and Satan is the thief. E, a wolf. The wolf is part of another comparison, and it's a comparison to Satan. So all of the choices except for B point back to Satan, and we know that's not right. The answer is B, the rich burgher is analogous to God. Question number 8, the subject of fear in line 19 is what? Let's look back at these lines. Or as a thief bent to unhoard the cash of some rich burgher, whose substantial doors, cross-barred and bolted fast, fear no assault, in at the window climbs or o'er the tiles. If you read the whole passage carefully, you'll see that we can eliminate shepherds and flocks immediately. They're part of the complex clause that goes before this. If you read these few lines carefully, you'll probably come to the right response. But if you're uncertain, notice that fear requires a plural subject, and burgher and thief are both singular. A burgher fears, a thief fears, but doors fear, so the correct answer is doors. The rich burgher's doors, cross-barred and bolted fast, fear no assault. You can cross out this extra information, cross-barred and bolted fast, and you have the rich burgher's doors fear no assault. So the correct answer is B, doors. Question number 9. Which of the following lines most probably contains a commentary on the poet's own era? Era, of course, means time period, so which of these lines probably contains commentary on the time period in which the poet lived? A, line 9, due entrance he disdained and in contempt. This is just part of the narrative, describing Satan's contempt for the rules. B, line 7, one gate there only was, and that looked east. And here we just have a description of the gate. C, line 2, Satan had journeyed on, pensive and slow. Here we have some description of Satan, but nothing that pertains to a particular time period. D, line 10, at one slight bound he high overleaped all bound. Here we have Satan leaping over the wall or boundary. This is just part of the narrative still. E, line 22, so since into his church lewd hirelings climb. Here we have something a little different. The poet says, so since into his church lewd hirelings climb. The word since here indicates that this occurred since the time or after the events already related in this passage. He is saying, since the time that the first grand thief, Satan, climbed into God's fold, lewd hirelings have been climbing into God's church. The fold, or the sheep pen, is a metaphor for God's church, and this is a commentary on the way the poet viewed the church at the time of his writing, as if lewd or sexual and worldly leaders had been coming into the church following Satan's example. So the correct answer is E, line 22. Again, because it's good to know things, the word hireling here means someone who is hired or works for money, and this is an allusion to the book of John, chapter 10, verses 12 and 13 in the New Testament, where Christ is explaining one of his parables, and he identifies hirelings as those who are supposed to be leading and taking care of God's sheep or the Christians in God's church, but they don't do a good job because they're hirelings. They're just working for money, and they don't really care about the Christians in their charge. Question number 10. The imagery in the passage suggests all of the following about Satan except his what? Notice that this is an except question, so you're looking for which of these things Satan is not. This is also another good example of a question that underscores the importance of having a robust vocabulary. So let's look at the answers. A. Unscrupulousness. This refers to having no morals. Since Satan is a thief, we can say that he can be described as unscrupulous, so A is incorrect. B. Stealthiness. This refers to being sneaky, being quiet and careful and avoiding notice. Satan is a thief. He gets into the sheepfold by going over the fence. He's compared to a prowling wolf and a thief who sneaks through the windows of the burgher's house to rob him. So we can also say that he is stealthy. B is not the correct answer either. C, rapaciousness. This word refers to always wanting more or being insatiable. Satan is a thief. He wants the sheep. He's compared to a thief who wants money, so he certainly wants more, and he can be described as rapacious. So C won't work either. D, stupidity. In the second line of the poem, Satan is described as pensive, which means thoughtful. While pensive is not really the opposite of stupid, still, to be pensive is an indication that he isn't stupid. He's thinking deeply. Also, he's successful at getting into the fold, which implies cleverness. There isn't really anything in the passage that implies that he's stupid. Of course, you could try to argue that to rob God is stupid, but that isn't really suggested by the passage, and the question is about what the passage suggests. So D is a good answer. E, pride. In line 9, we see the Satan disdaining to follow the rules, contemptuously jumping over the fence. Contempt for rules indicates pride, as if one is above such considerations, so E doesn't work either. And that leaves us with D, stupidity, which is the correct answer.